Good. I see that some people were awaiting in the shadows for quite some time already. I guess there is a suspicion, as Sam here expressed, that some very popular opinions are about to be expressed. And Sam, you are correct. Subdeacon Mark, I'm assuming with your bride, Mr. Hollaby, Carissa, how you doing? Sam Russell. All right. Well, so today is kind of definitely unplanned. I wasn't planning to do anything live today. Today is Sunday, so it's supposed to be not a work day. We're supposed to be, you know, doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing on Sunday. But then, brother in Christ, Bart, otherwise known as Bart Stewart, who usually on Sundays does his sermons, due to some technical difficulties with his internet where he's at right now, somewhere in Carolinas, I believe, wasn't able to do it live. And well, towards the end of the church, me and Megan would go like, "Hey, why don't we talk about?" And we chose the topic. So you are about to be exposed to that topic, and you'll hear some things that may come across as a little bit different angle, I guess, different point of view on things. So we'll bring my dear bride here in a minute, but before I do that, let me mention our sponsors: Ammo Supply Warehouse, my brother from another mother, Butch Becker, offering great selection at great prices of quality Freedom Seats. AmmoSupplyWarehouse.com. Go check them out. Show some love, show some support, and again, these are the people that not only they sell stuff, not only they offer things, uh, they are our people. They train, they participate in events, and I have known Butch for a number of years. Good people, great service, great product, good shipping. AmmoSupplyWarehouse.com. Of course, the second sponsor is my dear wife, who's about to join us here in the studio, in the second in the studio. She's actually going to be talking from our bedroom while I'm here in the studio because our bedroom is nice and cool, and here studio is slightly sweaty. Is there sound issues, or is that just only Carissa? Guys, let me know if everything is good as far as audio and video. Meanwhile, I'll talk about second sponsor, and that is, of course, my dear wife. And for the Badger body sprays, Megan says that I messed up. She just messaged me. It's lagging, huh? Well, I really am wondering what to do with that. Because actually, let me do this. Let me disconnect my phone from our Wi-Fi. Hopefully, it will free up some bandwidth. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, I'm on the correct microphone. Let me see other audio settings. Hmm. I don't know. Well, that sucks. The sound is choppy. Is it still choppy? Because I turned something else off, and it shouldn't be. Wow. Well, that sucks. Huh. It's completely jacked up, so I'm assuming that's both. Yeah, it looks like people. Hmm, makes me wonder what happens. There's static in the sound. Huh. Trying to figure out here what the heck is going on. Yeah, yeah, Tom, you're right. It's not necessary that I want to. Hey, guys, hang out for a second. Let me restart this and see if it resets the sound. Okay, don't go anywhere because I will find you. I'm going to log out very quickly and log back in exactly 1 minute. Be right back. All right. How does that sound any better right now? I am back in it. I just want to find out if the sound is any better. Can somebody say something? All right, so we're gonna be moving on. All right, as I promised, we do have a very special guest, my dear wife, Megan Puzikas. She'll be joining us here in a few moments because I see that she's logged in, but I don't see her on camera yet, so I'll bring her on as soon as I see it. Well, today's topic is going to be interesting. My dear friend Bart Stewart, when he does sermons, sometimes he uses the word hashtag truthcock. And there are times when he hits people with some really, really throbbing to truthcock about numerous topics. So, in today's topic, I can think I can hear my wife, but I cannot see her for some reason. We'll figure it out. I'll continue yapping here.
Can you not hear
So,
me?
today's topic, I can hear you, but I cannot see you, my dear.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Click on the bottom there. There's like three dots, and it will give you option to go to settings, and then it can give you a camera. So turn on the front camera and then turn off the mirror. That way, everything reads proper.
Oh, you already turned it off. Yeah, I'm showing. It says device unexpectedly stopped.
Huh.
I may need to go to your office after all.
Oh goodness. Oh well. If it's not working, then I guess come out to my office and we'll do it from here. Yeah, for some reason it's not showing Megan's face. Okay, this is super weird. All right, guys, hang out. Yeah, Carissa, I know, I hear you. I'm gonna go and lock the door into my office so my dear wife can step in here. All right, all right, all right. We all set up here. I'm just waiting for Megan. That's exactly what we're going to do, Mr. Stinson. We're going to talk amongst ourselves. As soon as Megan comes in here, we'll start. The topic is going to be quite interesting. There's a reason why I said you may want to invite your, I don't know, if you have any feminist friends, people of that nature, uh, people that tend to lean very, very left, because as you saw on the cover, uh, what we will be talking about is something that, not that I follow much as far as what's going on in popular culture on the news or whatnot, but some of you, I'm sure, have seen more than one article or some kind of a news flash referring to formerly popular music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Have a seat there. Everybody's already knows. There you go, everybody. Say hello to Megan. Slide closer, slide closer. You married, so you can be closer. There you go. There you go. There's my dear wife for your all's attention. You chopping up again. Seriously, man? Oh, goodness gracious.
I wonder if it's the weather coming. It's me.
I don't know. Sega Papasso, is it still choppy or is it any better? I apologize, you all. Quick, email Musk. Sure thing. It's choppy again. I don't understand what the hell is going on. This sucks and blows. I P did it the internet. Yeah, you're probably not wrong, Tom. Yo, I'm back. We back. Let me know if video got any better here or not. I mean, not video, audio. I know I look amazing. Much better again. Hey guys, don't be shy. If it gets bad, let me know. We do have some good stuff to talk about, so I'd rather continue even if it takes us a couple of times to log out, log back in to fix the audio. We have a nice chat. Well, we don't know if it's going to be nice, but we're going to chat. So, anyway, what we're going to chat about is, a few years ago we had this big thing, hashtag Me Too, or before it was referred to as hashtag, it was usually called pound Me Too. Every time it dies, do a push up. No, every time it dies, you do 10 push ups, Tom. That's right. That's the deal. Carissa, make sure he does it, please. Thank you. Um, and, you know, throughout the time of that movement, we watched it. We talked about it on numerous occasions. Now, before we continue on, let me just preface this and say that neither me nor Megan are any kind of fans or have any kind of respect, love, or adoration for people like Harvey Weinstein or P. Diddy or any of those dudes. So if any of the ladies show up that are, third, fourth wave and all that stuff, and they're gonna try to say that we are sympathizing with rapists and all that stuff, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. But there are a few things that we wanted to point out, and that is a absolutism with which it's being presented. And what hit me, with this P. Diddy, Sean Combs case, was that I don't even remember her name, Casey, something like that. That R&B singer that supposedly was his girlfriend for what, like 11 years or something.
I don't.
Yeah, I know. Megan didn't follow that.
I didn't follow that story.
Right. And you know, I guess she was in that terrible relationship for 11 years. Uh, One would presume the way the case is being presented, because it's extortion, it's sex trafficking, and all that stuff. One would presume that under the extreme duress, threat to her life and her family's and parents, cousins, dogs, and cats' lives, uh, armed bodyguards of Sean Combs running around making sure she doesn't step out of the way. She had no chance to end that relationship. She didn't enjoy anything. She didn't get any benefits from that relationship. And she didn't make her own decisions to stay in it, mind you, for 11 years. Christian Green, how you doing, Fixer? So, you know, I was, few things came through social media, and first day it got pretty spicy there. I guess on the stand they had one of the male sex workers,
Mhm.
and he was testifying, and of course the news media and everybody right away got into the spiciest things of them all. And basically the spicy thing was that Sean Combs forced him to urinate in her mouth in front of him. And most normal people, and again, I'm not going to judge anyone's kinks or whatnot, that's what we're not here for. But my assumption is that most normal people go like, "Ooh, what the hell," right? And there's this instant, like it's revolting. It's like it's such a terrible thing, and how would somebody force someone to do that? Then within the testimony of that dude, what comes out that that lady, Casey, whatever her name is, she actually asked him to do that. Maybe not in her mouth, but she asked him to urinate on her. So you kind of go like, again, I'm gonna try not to be judgmental of different kinks and and all other things that people do in their private lives, in their bedrooms or whatnot, whatever. But you kind of start going like, so wait a minute, I thought she was forced to do all these things. And then text messages come out, because apparently she was frequently, in almost all of them, whatever his parties were called, freak offs or something like that. She was present in all of them. And when she was on the stand, she was explaining how she had to drug herself to numb herself down. But then there's text message exchanges with Sean Combs, with Puffy. She's telling me how much she's enjoying it and how much she's looking forward to it. I don't know, guys. I mean, you know, this is not something where you kind of go like, blame the victim, right? Because it's already assumed that this lady is absolutely unwilling victim. Just like with Harvey Weinstein, all of those actresses, they were absolutely forced. None of them walked into his office themselves, right?
None of them pursued him when he was in town.
Yeah, and so me and Megan were talking about it. As a woman, what's your view of that? Where there's so much real stuff going on where ladies get abused, raped, sexual assaults and all that stuff. And you have these celebrities, right? And through super expensive lawyers, the way the whole story is presented, it's like they were under the gun, under the fear for their life. They were forced into do these terrible things. But then you read through it and you go like, usually like terrible thing like rape or something like that, right? It happens, then the lady runs away if she makes it out or whatnot, right? And then she takes action or doesn't take action. But it's not like she comes back to the same guy over the course of the next 4 years, right? So, to me, yeah, I'm a dude. You know what I mean? It's gonna be kind of like, well, yeah, mansplaining. As a woman, like how do you see this? How do you see this? Because again, I don't want it to come through as some kind of a toxic masculinity, and all that. But I know you're my wife, and yeah, I've known that for a while. But still, as a woman, how do you see this when there's this absolute, there's one singular evil, whether it's Harvey Weinstein or Sean Diddy Combs or any other of those perverts in Hollywood or celebrity or whatnot, and everyone else who over the years was part of these things, they are nothing but victims.
Well, so I haven't really followed the Diddy case as as much as Sunny has, but I've been very interested in the Harvey Weinstein case. Um, and I was guilty of just like assuming things like, yeah, just because someone is a morally terrible person, you're quick to just assume, okay, yeah, that's probably true. But one thing that I thought was really weird about the Harvey Weinstein case is when these women, first of all, being an actress is probably one of the most non-essential jobs there there is out there. So when women so when women say, "Well, I had to do it for my career," then what you're saying is that there was an exchange. Like a rape, there is no exchange. You were unwilling to participate in any of that. But if you do it because of your career, there are other careers and my problem was looking at the age of these women that were coming forward and how they continue to pursue Harvey over the years. You can give a little grace to, I think, girls that are late teens, early 20s, because their prefrontal cortex isn't developed yet. So in their minds, they're driven by the I need to be seen. This is, like,
And they
you're
also
not.
they don't know the inside of the industry, right? They haven't dwelled in that effed up industry for years to know how it works on the audition couch, how it works with these producers, right? So these young girls wouldn't know. These chicks, like big names. I mean, these are not small time actresses, right? They knew.
And they're claiming when the events happened, they weren't that young anymore, too. So that's what I question. When you're after your prefrontal cortex has developed and you realize there are other jobs, you have enough life experience, you can do something else in life. If it was really that terrible of an experience, you wouldn't be emailing this person asking when they're going to be in town next. And well, I guess I'll go ahead and give the fun fact.
Sure, bring it.
For people that didn't know, if you're questioning whether or not, how could we, looking at Harvey's case, a lot of women that testified, and this is how the media has really, like, I'm shocked at, I wish I would have looked at the case a little more back then. Like, I questioned these women weren't telling the truth, but, I didn't realize that they really were trying to just make the evil all on the man in this situation. Because Harvey's guilty. I mean, he was cheating on his wife. I mean, like, I'm not saying he's innocent.
And he's definitely not a likable person either.
No.
By any stretch of
imagination.
But
the majority, what the media didn't tell you is the majority of the testimonies, these women would make up these stories and they would talk about fondling his testicles, right? And then it comes out, but the media didn't say, like in court, it came out, they ruled out these girls, majority of the girls, because they're like, he doesn't have testicles. They were removed after 1999 due to how do you say it? Gangrene, I don't know much.
Yeah.
But they were removed. But yeah. All these women had all these stories about fondling his testicles. And
it's kind of like if I don't know, last Friday, not this past Friday, but Friday before, when I got into accident and totaled our car, right? And if things went wrong, and I burned and they had to amputate my arms, right? And I have no arms. And for the next 10 years, people saying Sonny punched me in the gut, in the face. You know what I mean? And then after 2 years of accusations, and everyone is going, Sonny's such an abusive prick and all that stuff. Megan kind of jumps on the stand in court and goes like, Sonny has lost his arms 2 years ago. It's kind of like that. And I don't know how many of you are aware of that small little detail that freaking Weinstein, Harvey, has no balls. And I mean literally no balls.
Now, another reason why this detail is important is it really reveals, like, because when you're looking at where the evil is in this situation, you're like, well, why are these women lying about it? And just, and it's a whole other topic about, like, well, apparently, there's a market for that. Like, these men are able to live these lives because women are feeding it. They want him to cheat on his wife so that they can get something out of him.
Bart Stewart says, the more you know. No balls. Welcome, brother.
No, but so one of the points that me and Sunny were talking about is we're like, if we really focus on labeling someone something, like, for example, Harvey Weinstein, terrible person, like, we will overlook certain details because we know he's already not a good person, but we won't see potentially the bigger evil that's at play here in the Me Too movement, right? Because we don't look into the details, or if you think someone's evil, you don't think that they're capable of also being a victim of someone else's
What would be your
evil.
response if some feminist said, what do you mean bigger evil? What's bigger evil than sexual assault or rape on a woman?
One could argue lying about it.
Oh, that hits hard.
Using that as a weapon, using people's emotional and, seeing that as morally terrible, like using that as a tool, I would say maybe well, I'm not going to order them, but it is, I would say, just as evil. Because then all women lose credibility for the actual act.
So Carissa says some women don't want to do certain things for a man, but will make the choice to for reasons, and then later cry rape or coercion because they're unhappy with the choices they made.
See, women are treating it like an insurance policy, and I don't like it. It's like, okay, like, I'm going to...
Yeah, I'm going to use my assets and other things to get what I want, right?
And if I don't get what I want...
At the time, while they're thinking that they're moving up the ladder and getting what they want, they're coming back for repeat visits, right? To explore their assets and to move themselves up the ladder where they think they want to go, right? And some of them got to the very top. Some of them became A-listers, as far as, the whole Hollywood thing, right? But then years go by, as an A-lister, you become older, 40, 50. Maybe you're no longer getting all these offers to play sexy roles where, everyone is watching and salivating and you're getting paid $8 million for a leading role, right? And then you go like, you know what? I remember this ugly man with no balls, but I fondled his balls. Uh, so let me go back and make myself relevant again because I made all these choices for my career to screw with this ugly, unattractive, morally reprehensible dude, right? Do things for him. But now I'm gonna, he's just a throwaway now. He's just a throwaway. I'm gonna use him as a tool to bring myself back to relevance, make myself a victim, maybe write a book or two, show up on a few TV shows, prime TV shows, and all that stuff, make a few $100,000 there, $1 million there, this and that. Everyone's going to love me. I'm going to be asked to do speeches. Maybe we'll start some nonprofits. Maybe we'll do this and that, right? And it's kind of like they bring additional 3-4 years into their career, into their life by victimizing themselves 15 years later after supposedly all those terrible things happened? How does the girl in the street who literally was, forced into some alleyway and raped by one of these schmucks out there, and her voice was never heard, how does she feel about it? It's like freaking. What do you have to say? Shoot from the hip. Hold on, let me make a sound. No balls.
Uh, yeah, it's a. For those of you that are friends with me on Facebook or have seen my Facebook page, I've pinned to the top. I've debated whether or not to put at the top of my page something else that I've written, but I think this is the most important topic I think that I've written about. Female vanity. So those of you who have not read the post, you all know that the cycle of hard times create hard men, and then good times create weak men. Well, women do contribute to that cycle. I mean, feminism will tell you that masculinity is in a vacuum, like men operate in a vacuum, and not, there's the interaction with women doesn't affect them, when literally men are looking to women for cues on how they should act, so that way they can attract the women so they can reproduce. So it doesn't make sense to think that men and women are in these vacuums and they operate separately. So when we live in a time of weak men, what are the women? We've had these discussions, and then I finally figure out, I'm like, it's vanity. I mean, look at it. You have weak men, and then you have women who are vain. They operate on vanity. They use men just to get attention, fame. So what we're seeing in the Weinstein case, and I think in the Diddy case, is, these women are trying to paint themselves as victims, but they were driven by vanity. They wanted an exchange, and now they want a different exchange. At first, they were getting something for the acts that they did with them, and now that the media will reward them for being a victim, now they're trading in and saying, oh no, actually I didn't enjoy that.
Like people commenting here about E. Jean Carroll, that's the lady, and I use that term very loosely, that accused Trump, right, of something happening in, I guess, dressing room in the mall or something like that. And then she won, like, some schmuck judge in New York awarded her billions, you know, and and that's what it becomes, it becomes out of very legit evil, which is sexual assault, rape, and stuff like that. It's being used as a quick scheme to make money and become famous, to get to the top of the industry. And no wonder when you look at some actors, and I don't remember exactly who it is, whether it's Denzel Washington or Matthew McConaughey or one of the others, you know, but when they take pictures with women that are fans, they refuse to even touch their body in any way, shape. They would not put their hand around the shoulder like this or whatnot, because they worried that that picture at some point will be used, or if it was, it was not consensual touching. Oh, and by the way, after that touch, 5 minutes later, he raped me. Here's the proof: see non-consensual contact. And you kind of go like, you know, and I would hate to say that, but I will say this. Apparently, there are a bunch of videos from Sean Combs, Puff Diddy's, those freak-offs parties of things happening, like triple X-rated stuff. I think they should show it publicly, not for pornographic value, but so people can see how this rape victim is asking for things to be done to her. Maybe that would serve a purpose. Because of course someone can say, well, she was under duress, under pressure. She used drugs. Okay, I can see that one time, two times, maybe three times, for 11 freaking years. For 11 freaking years. Yeah, Mark Hinsley, you're right. It's Keanu Reeves who doesn't make any contact with female fans. Thanks for bringing that up. I forgot who it was.
Yeah, so another thing I thought would be relevant to kind of bring up to think about. So, if you have weak men, I mean these cases are all examples, right? Because these men are not innocent men either, right? I think you're seeing an example of weak men and vain women. They kind of attract each other in these situations. So when men become weak and then they give in to their passions, vain women come in and then they attract each other. It's like for a woman, if you're going to be vain and you're going to signal to men in the way that they do, then yeah, those weak men are going to be attracted to you. So I think this is just an example of how, you know, and not, one of the other cases that's circling around, I think that'd be worth Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp was actually pretty well known and very good, very good NFL football player, if I remember correctly. I don't know that story. Megan brought it up just today. I'm like, I'm not gonna go into it. You know a couple of things about it. Speak about it.
Okay, I don't know all the details. I've just I listened to the released audio, and I don't follow sports as much as I used to anymore. So this is a big sports commentator. I guess he was a former NFL player. You think?
Yes, yes. For years, Shannon Sharp was pretty big.
Okay, so he had to resign because he decided to um, have a sexual relationship with, I think she's in her like early 20s, this girl that's in her early 20s. So this girl in her early 20s, I guess they're into some really kinky stuff, and then they try to play it off that he was assaulting her. So you can find the audio online. I think the tone, she's kind of trying to provoke him, and she's kind of trying to be like play the victim but be sexual at the same time. That's the vibe I got. I don't know if anyone else got a different vibe. But the fact that she chose a lawyer that's famous for going after celebrities like this, like I don't see her as a victim. But Shannon Sharp is he's not a saint either. He's actively pursuing these relationships.
With that kind of women, and then probably wondering why am I, you know,
It's one of those cases where you don't feel bad for any of them.
no.
However, I do want Shannon Sharp to, for the truth to come out and for him to be not guilty. But, it's a good conversation for men, though. It's like, okay, yeah, but how did you get yourself in this situation in the first place? Both men and women need to be equally accountable in these situations. And I think this young woman should, I think women do need a consequence for trying to fake this stuff. But I know there is an argument of, well, you don't want women to be scared to come forward. If if they're not, the man's not ruled guilty, but he really was guilty, should the woman anyway? But this is one of those cases where this is an example of the man just needs to not give in to his vices. And
No, and one of our listeners, Marinko, says, Shannon Sharp is a terrible human being. Research him. I have no doubt whatsoever.
yeah, just like
Most
Harvey Weinstein,
most of the
he may
dudes
not
in
be a rapist.
yeah, most NFL, they're not outstanding human beings that I would want them to go like, hey, when I hang out with my daughter, hell no. I will punch him with my amputated arm, for damn sure, right? But does that make him, just because he's a terrible human being, does that make him what they say he did to them? While there's significant evidence where, at the very least, you're questioning the absolutism of that statement, that he's just, ceaselessly, forcefully, under threat, under duress, through physical coercion, power, assaulting, he just rapes women like a mass rapist. You know what I mean? That's something that Carissa says two consenting terrible human beings are still both consenting. And that's true. Another case that Marinko also brought back, Bill Cosby,
Mm.
right? And again, not a fan of Bill Cosby in any way, shape, or form. Don't know enough about him to make any kind of character judgments or whatnot. But just few things that you read about accusations, and then what else comes out, how these accused women that endured these terrible rapes, but they stuck around for 3, 4, 5 years. You kind of go like, it's not like you have shared children, right, to stick around for. It's not like you have joint family business and other ventures. No, you expressed what you have. He kind of holds my career in his hands. Like Sean Combs was holding Cassie Ventura's career in his hands because she signed up to his record label. You know, so to move her career forward, she was doing the things. And you kind of go like, well, she's under pressure to maintain her career, but not under pressure not to do these degrading things with this shithead, Puff Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever the fuck he was over the years, right? I want our listeners to understand this is in no way, shape, or form any kind of defense of Weinstein's, Diddy's, and Cosby's and Sharps of the world. Not at all. But I
They,
think
they
what we're
they are
trying,
they are who they are because women created a market for that. That's kind of a sad truth.
I was telling Megan years ago when I was in Europe, walking through some of the European cities, and Megan went to me with me to Germany. She's seen it. You know, certain cities that I'll use the word infested by people who are not welcome there, certainly not by local citizens, but governments, they're okay with that, right? And they come from certain backgrounds. That background may be, I don't know, Libya, Algeria, maybe Syria, maybe Afghanistan. We can mention the fate, we can mention, none of that is really consequential. The point is, you know how they look and treat women. You're aware of that. It's not a secret, it's not something, so it's kind of got like, I can sit there and watch the train go down the tracks, right? Every single time it stays on track and it doesn't slow down because I'm looking at it. I go, I don't like how fast you're going. Train doesn't give a shit. Train does what train does. It goes. If as a lady, as a female, you're aware that you're walking through certain part of Paris or Brussels or Hamburg or any other cities in Europe that are infested by these people, right? You should be aware of that if you have half of the point of the IQ. You were with me in Germany. You were pretty aware of what these people are, right? Would have you walked down some of those streets by yourself without me and some of my students present?
No, I didn't see any immigrant women and children. I saw gangs of young men, 5 to 6, 5 to 6, like, yeah, I mean, that's just.
Right? But yet there are women there that they go like, just because the train does what train does, why I should not be allowed to stand in the middle of a track? Someone should do something to educate the train when he sees a woman who's basically dressed in a bedroom attire, sexy bedroom attire, on the track. That train should go whoop and go around that woman. Because at this point, she decided to look sexy in the neighborhood where trains frequently go down the tracks. Now, please tell me, how much sense does it make? Marinko, I know that. We've been to to Bulgaria.
Yeah, I've been to
You don't see
Bulgaria.
that
Yeah,
shit. But when you're
there's
in
a difference.
Germany, in Netherlands, in Belgium, in Norway, in many of those other countries, you see that shit daily. And it's been years since I've been there. It was bad back then. I know from many of my friends and students it's much worse now. Much worse.
Yeah, so I think I want to contrast with another one that's another story that's. So I don't know if anyone else is following the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
Oh, that drama.
See how that's different. And see, this is an encouragement to men, right? To like check, be in check with your vices, because Justin Baldoni has not received the treatment that Harvey Weinstein has or Shannon Sharp. Um, he's annoying because he's a male feminist, but he's just so like, it was described, I think it was on Candace Owens' podcast, like he's like a puppy that no one responds well to a puppy getting kicked, online when it's so obvious. She tried to claim that he sexually harassed
He's like
on set, and
he's like a feminine dude. He's definitely not manly. Not there is no toxic masculinity with that dude.
Hippie,
Lefty
vibes. So it was interesting watching people from all over the political spectrum come together on this, because I don't think I would agree with Justin Baldoni's political views, but I'm looking at them like he's he's not a Weinstein who's innocent but a terrible person. He's not a Shannon Sharp who looks to be innocent but is still a terrible person. He's innocent, and he's probably never even had that thought in his head. Well, I shouldn't say that, but
I don't think he's capable, literally capable, to force any woman to do anything that he wants her to do, if he wanted it. I don't think he's capable. Certainly not with Blake Lively. She would kick his ass.
Unlike Weinstein, he has balls, but his figurative balls have been removed, so to speak. So yeah, that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought about.
Well, that whole drama became very interesting because, of course, another two huge superstars involved, which is Blake Lively's husband.
Well, the bigger thing that I'm interested in is Taylor Swift's involvement, because she's big on the Me Too, like she's a big feminist figure now, right? Turns out she actually bullied Justin. It looks like she helped Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds bully Justin, and the reason why they tried to frame this guy was because they want to take back the movie rights. So there's some political reasons why they're doing it, but they tried to set Justin Baldoni up for this. I mean, there's more details all over the internet. You guys can find it. Candace Owens' podcast is great. Ian Carroll, covers it pretty well too. But so Taylor Swift has like this, and I don't know. I'm not a fan. Never been a fan of her music. I just don't really like hip hop. But she has this image of, I'm a nice girl, I don't bully, I'm just a victim. That's the thing that bothers me, is she tends to be the victim in every relationship. Everyone jokes about that, but in every situation too.
Every song that she ever wrote.
So it's funny watching her act like she's now the victim. Like, she helped Blake bully Justin into doing what Blake wanted with the movie, and now she's the victim of Blake Lively bringing her into this lawsuit. Now she's like, oh no, now I'm not friends with Blake Lively. So like you're watching like the idol of Me Too right now, and what's great is that a lot of women are kind of waking up to that. Like, a lot of people are Taylor Swift fans. I don't understand it, but a lot of women are, and they're watching this like two-facedness. Like, yeah. I don't know. I think that's something interesting. If you guys haven't followed this case,
it's entertaining.
She's been subpoenaed, so things are going to get interesting.
Yeah. And Sega Papa, you are right. With Harvey Weinstein hiring the Black Cube Israeli intelligence firm founded by former Mossad agents and all that, and the things that they targeted the journalist as well as Rose McGowan, and I'm not questioning that. I'm not questioning that at all. The point is that there seems to be a very strong tendency. How would I say it? Everyone wants to be like a freaking Pontius Pilate. I wash my hands and let's nail to the cross one person who takes upon himself all the sins of the world. Except he doesn't do it voluntarily, and he doesn't have power to do so. So let's pick one. Let's pick a despicable person like Harvey Weinstein. He is despicable. He's absolute shitface. shithead, criminal, abusive, the whole 9 yards. No doubt about it. You know, but you kind of go like everyone who was ever associated with him in any way, shape, or form and participated in these things, sometimes by partial consent, sometimes by full consent, they all become clean. They all wash their hands. And their participation, everything gets stapled to one person. And we crucify that one person. Everyone else around is crispy clean, white cloth, no stains. And there's one evil person, like with Sean Diddy, right? He's gonna be this one evil black rap mogul that did all these things and running all these things, and nobody else was involved with it. None of these other, both men and women that participate in it, had anything to do with it. Everyone is clean, innocent, unwilling, unsuspecting participants for 11 years in this scheme of absolute debauchery and freaking perversion, right? And you look at that and I go like, do I care if Sean Diddy goes to jail and get his ass ripped inside out by others? Very unchristian for me to say, no, I don't care.
But on the lines of Christianity, what we were talking about, um, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'm still
No,
recovering from.
yeah, we were talking about the forgiveness earlier, right? A little bit.
Well, yeah. So anyway, the biblical in the Bible, it's made very clear that evil is not the enemy is not flesh and blood. So you see in a lot of these cases, we want to make the enemy flesh and blood. So you'll take one person in each case that, is easy for that to be like Harvey Weinstein or Diddy. But that clouds our mind from being able to actually see the whole picture of where evil is. Because like we're pointing out, we're like, is the evil just in the guy in the situation, or is it the women who are acting out of vanity? That's evil. They're using the man just as much as the man is using them. So when you really try to make the enemy flesh and blood, you have a blind spot to that there is evil. There is the capability. Everyone is capable of having evil and doing evil. But if we are too quick to put a label on someone like this person is a narcissist, then we're blinded to see that evil can be done to that person.
Well, read this, Megan. This is Bart. You know Bart.
Hi, Bart.
Bart has experience with things, right? So, Bart worked in strip clubs, as you know,
Yes.
and that kind of stuff. And remember, you may not remember, it's an old school porn, Tracy Lords.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's before you ever saw porn, okay? All her, I was underage and they made me do blah, 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 and yada, yada. So when Bart was working in one of the strip clubs as a DJ, he got to have a conversation with another superstar of porn industry, and her name is Ginger Lynn, right? And Ginger Lynn was in with Tracy Lords. Mm-hmm. And she said Ginger Lynn worked with Tracy Lords and said the whole victim thing was nonsense. And I quote, I watched Tracy stone cold sober ask to have a whole crew run a train on her on a diving board once. Nobody made her do shit. But hey, hashtag believe all women, right? And some people will say, you know what? This is porn industry. This is different. I'm starting to suspect that through the whole culture of wholeflation, that our daily lives are becoming like a freaking porn industry. You know, there's this. I'm a poor this and this and that, and I got like in men in the gay porn. I did this because I was. There are victims. They play victims in that too, And you see that stuff and you go like, you know what? Shut up. And if it takes you to shut up by sucking more of that, go at it. It's sick. It's sick because it's becoming a norm. It's becoming a new standard how to move through life. Doesn't matter if it's truth, half truth, what's omitted, what's changed, what's adjusted. As long as I stay in the somewhat of a center of attention, I can benefit or profit from it. As long as I get hugs, loves, and prayers from others because I'm such a victim, doesn't matter who suffers. It doesn't matter, And you go like, yeah, I have absolute zero sympathy for Weinstein's and all these other characters that we mentioned, you know. But at the same time, there was forgiveness and, so to speak, comeback into normal life for a lot of women that were terrible in what they have become over years. Porn actresses that did things that you kind of go like, no, they made it into mainstream. They became, they're running their own normal businesses and became super successful businesswomen and all that stuff. So we both forgot and forgave that. Good, good. People change. People get. Am I saying that Weinstein and Diddy's and all that stuff they will change and they will become saints? I'm not saying that. Am I excluding the possibility? As funny as it may sound, no, I don't. Why? Look at biblical stories. There were mass murderers who became saints. Literally, mass murderers. They raped, murdered, pillaged the whole 9 yards. Okay? Let's look at Mary Magdalene. What's her story? She was a whore, right?
Yeah, there. I mean, some people claim that different translations. Anyway, like whether it was gambling or she was a whore, which yeah. But yeah,
You know, and again, to me, it's kind of like, a lot of people, all of us want to have some kind of a chance to redemption, right? Because we all have done things wrong. We said things, we lied about things, we misrepresented things, we hurt others, we allowed our pride, our anger, our envy, our other things that Tom Hollaby mentions here, right? Envy, wrath, you name it, the sin is there, right? We all have done it. But we all think, rightfully so, that we deserve a chance at redemption. Why? Because one dude, and I use that word very, very irresponsibly, he was not a dude, he was our Savior, okay? God Himself on the cross to pay for it all. So we have an opportunity and chance, all of us, every single one of us, at redemption. But then when you see societies, communities, movements like feminism, like Me Too, like all the other things, they just trying to absolute laser beam to paint all the evil in the world on this one specific target. It's beyond redemption. It's beyond forgiveness. It's beyond human. This is pure evil. Yet everyone else who was active participant to one degree or another in that evil being propagated and happen in real time, they walk out clean. They walk out absolutely clean as if they were not even there. You know, what kind of thing we created, what kind of standards we are creating for the future interactions. What are our kids gonna learn watching this and going like, dude, any chick can say anything and the whole society has to believe her. Like, you know, like Nick at some point is gonna be 17 or close to 18, right? He's gonna go like, hey, can I go like meet this chick or whatnot? We're gonna have to say what? No. No, because you're gonna be set up as a freaking rapist. This
yeah, and on that note, why I think talking about female vanity is so important right now is that we live in, like with social media, unless, a girl has good parents that are like limiting her social media, at least limiting. What would be better is to not have her on social media. But all that does is it feeds female vanity. Like how are young men going to find a woman who's not obsessed with that vice, like vanity? Like she's gonna expect to be worshipped as like a false idol. Like women are being set up that way, and it is really scary. Like,
It is scary because then the dudes they start to expect that, right?
mm-hmm.
Then the dudes looking at it, they're not looking for a girl who dresses up, you know, in somewhat not as a whole, who doesn't twerk 3 times a week, who doesn't have a fucking OnlyFans channel, who's not on TikTok, you know, doing this while squeezing her tits, but it's a workout video. Or her camel toe is right here in the middle of a freaking camera, but it's about stretching, you see.
And it's not even like you don't even have to do those more like obvious and extreme accounts like OnlyFans or TikTok, Instagram. If a young girl has an Instagram account, that feeds her vanity. Even a Facebook account, like it's just how social media is designed now. It is scary, and it makes men weak because they have porn right there in front of their face, and instead of doing productive things, they have something that has their attention, and then women use it to get attention.
Yep, indeed.
Well, one of the other things I wanted to mention about Harvey Weinstein was kind of have a theory, but I was like, I'm really wondering why they decided to use him, as kind of like, I don't know, like what we were talking about. If they don't want to acknowledge that the way the industry works itself is evil, let's just personify it into a person and let that person fall. And then let's not let people question that our whole system is the problem, how the whole way that Hollywood works is the problem. Let's personify it instead. Because that's kind of my theory. Because I was like, well, Harvey Weinstein was really like, why did they choose him? Like, why were they going so hard after him? Like I think they really just needed a person.
I think Harvey Weinstein, by that time when they went after him, he has also, at that point, he has outlived his usefulness.
So he was a good
He was no
candidate, I
longer
guess.
at the top. He was still perceived as powerful, but he was no longer moving up. He was moving down as far as his influence and all that stuff. He becomes disposable.
And the women that he interacted with, they're older now and they need to be relevant, so they'll just
Yep.
revert back to what they did in their younger years with him, and then try to cash in on that. I mean,
Yeah,
I can
and
see.
when you think about it, I mean, it was funny. That was unusual, right? People thought was that a dildo? No, it wasn't. It's the thing that makes special sound effects. Okay.
It's in our daughter's Easter basket, and we're like, that's
Yes,
a perfect
that's
sound for the
perfect. Yes.
podcast.
Carissa says I had to buy my 3-year-old daughter a boy's bathing suit because I couldn't find a little girl's bathing suit without sexy cutouts for 3-year-old girls.
I'm seeing a lot of that. Like, you just go into a store and you see what's marketed for toddlers, even. It's just.
Tom Raider 212, he says, my best guess that Harvey Weinstein was outed because he's the scapegoat. You know what I mean? I I think it's actually more, it's darker than that. I think it's darker than that. He had he had enough clout and enough exposure and enough people knew about him to make him a scapegoat to create a certain movement. And that movement played significant role in shaping political landscape, not only in this country but around the world. They needed something to bring back feminism. They needed something to bring back women's voice. Women have to be put in these places. Look what started happening. At what point the whole thing really started taking steam of diversity, inclusion, and equity.
Well, what it did is, yeah, that is a good point, because from a Christian perspective, you know that there is evil. So Satan's probably like, no, we need women to think it's okay to be vain. We need to tell them, no, you're victims.
Speak up.
Yeah, speak up. You should be able to do all these things and have these roles. And, if you have to do that. And another thing that really bothered me, why the Me Too movement, why Hollywood ran that, was, and I'm not trying to degrade that. I'm not trying to say there are not any actors or actresses that are honest people when they don't have a camera in front of their face. But these people act for a living, guys. Like,
hint, hint.
How are we not being like, okay, they all got assigned a role. They got a group of female actresses. Okay, play the role of a victim. You were sexually assaulted by this guy. And by the way, you're embarrassed by what you did with him. So it'd be in your best interest to do a good job with your role and make sure that he ends up in prison. Like, I feel like why do we believe?
It's almost like there's a bigger picture behind it, right? This is not just about.
Why do so many people believe actors and actresses when they do this? It's like that's what they do for a living. They could be lying out of their ass. Like, it's just.
And you wouldn't even know. I mean, like Robert De Niro plays a badass all the time. He's not a badass. He's a wimp. He's a wimp. He's a weasel. But you look at Robert De Niro walking with unshown 8-inch platforms because he's also a fucking midget, right? And he looks a badass.
And another thing, in case those of you that are watching that missed the beginning, what I pointed out is that being an actress is probably one of the most non-essential jobs in the world. So for women to claim to be a victim, I needed to do it for my career. It is so disgusting. Like, people can do without movies.
We actually did pretty good without movies for quite a while now, haven't we?
No, life has improved when we limit what we watch. I'm not saying that okay, we love a good show, a good movie when it's well done, but people have made their lives revolved around shows and TVs now. It's just,
for us, movie now. I mean, last time we watched a movie. Okay, so Arya watches her movies. Fine, right? And I think today I heard all the lines from Finding Nemo about 3 times, and the song from The Lion King about 4 times. So if somewhere in the middle of my podcast you hear me call Simba and start singing "It's the Circle of Life," you'll understand why, right? But besides that, like, when was the last time we actually watched a movie? We went to see that movie with what's his face. Am I racist?
Oh, we saw that in theaters, yeah.
That was the last time we watched the movie.
With Matt Walsh. Yeah,
with Matt Walsh. So that was months ago. Months ago. And for years what we did is that over years now.
And that's not your standard Hollywood movie.
No.
I mean, well, Daily Wire is aspiring to be Hollywood, which is why they're
which is a
tanking.
Whole,
but yeah, that's. I'll give my opinions on Daily Wire another.
We'll touch on Benny Shapiro Boy and other things related to Semitism, anti-Semitism in a separate show that we will have to record because we will be banned for life. This is already risky enough. Nicole, how you doing? Nicole just signed in. Doug Holliday, Sonny, I want to be in the next movie you are in. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my friend. I'm not going to be in any movies anymore. No such plans. Yeah, but movies for us became like it's an event. We schedule something, like we go to movie theater, or we're like a family event, time. Yeah. Like everybody piles up because we only have one working TV, and it's in our bedroom, so kids cannot watch it during the day or whatnot. And so we all pile up in our bedroom. And last time we watched a couple of seasons of Yellowstone, right?
Yeah, we
With
watched
kids.
Yellowstone with kids.
And before then, we watched Chosen.
Yeah, Chosen.
And as far as movies, we went to see the one about the child trafficking. What was the name of that movie?
Oh, I forgot. The
Something something. And then we went and saw the Nefarious,
Mhm.
which was incredible. But
Yeah.
that's really in the past 3 4 years. That's pretty much what we've done with movies. You know.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that actors and actresses can't provide value, but it is pretty non-essential in the big picture. Like,
Nope.
I think humanity would do much better if we interacted with each other than watching.
Sound of Freedom was the movie.
Sound of Freedom,
Yes.
Sound
Yes.
of Freedom.
Yep. So yeah, I'm definitely, when I was an actor and all that stuff, by no means I felt very essential.
Mhm.
Although without my participation, all those movies would have sucked. But that's a separate story to be told another time. Uh, yeah, it's ridiculous how they like I had no other choice. I'm an actress and I had no other choice.
Then don't be an
Ma'am,
actor.
there's a McDonald's across the corner. As a matter of fact, if you look down the Sunset Boulevard, there's a lot of pretty high-end eateries and stores, and you can get a job. Pretty good job. We stopped there when we went to Embassy, remember, to get a meal,
Mhm.
and incredible meal, by the way, wasn't it?
Mhm.
And but we also watched some. Remember, I was telling you there were two young Russian ladies.
Yeah.
The way they talked and the way they interacted, the whole Hollywood. It was like picture perfect, that whole inflation on the full frontal display. And so, yeah, being actress, no, it's not your only path in life, and your life does not depend on it. Now, if you set for yourself a standard that you need to walk a red carpet 6 times a year, fondle non-existent Harvey Weinstein's balls to increase it to 12 times a year on the red carpet, and have free meals and have free hotels because you are an actress, and you need an article every now and then in some freaking stupid, you know, whatever tabloid. If that's the standard you set, you can just move down just a little bit south into certain valley, Fernandino Valley or whatnot. There's a porn industry. You literally get to fondle balls and suck balls all day long, and you will be walking different carpets. Not right. But you'll have exposure. Men will watch you full time, often. I know I'm being sarcastic and kind of dark, but this whole thing of these women had no choice, you know, to succumbing to all this, extortionist and pressure from people like Weinstein or Sean Diddy Combs or any of these, whatever. It's bullshit.
Yeah, vanity. Female vanity. It's telling women like the thing that that's really toxic about the feminist movement is it's telling women you should feel entitled to be whatever you want to be. So, if you want to be an actress, you should be entitled to be able to be an actress and then claim to be a victim if you don't, if the industry, if what you had to do to get there you didn't like.
Hold that thought for a minute. People are saying sound is choppy again. Don't go anywhere. We still have 20 minutes to go. I'm going to jump out and jump right back in. If I see smaller numbers, I find you and I kill you. That's the line from the movie. We'll be back in 15 seconds. Oh, Tom Hollaby, that's right. It's 10 push ups. Uh, we are back. Is the sound better? Let me know really quickly so we can continue with offensive talk up in here. Halabi, while you're doing 10 push-ups, do it on one hand and type with another hand if the sound is okay. Yep, you cured. Marinko Mustapic says England is caving in. The evil liberal left is attacking the West. Trans toddlers allowed gender. Yeah, that stuff. Uh, I don't know how people, like they are horrified about what Sean Combs does, what Weinstein does, what all these other, but they sitting there, these grandmas clapping while the freaking transgender, cross-dressing, ugly, big black men who do have balls and then they add tits to it are doing children's story hour. That's not wrong, but Weinstein consensually banging some chick who wants an extra access to the next movie project is somehow more evil than that, right?
Yeah, the question that should be asked when people are focused on like why do you have a problem, which is a ridiculous question, but why do you have a problem with your children watching that? When it's like, well, why do those people need to have a toddler audience?
Yeah,
That's the scarier question. Like, why do they need that audience?
maybe because there is a darker plan somewhere, but that would be going way into the conspiracy theory territory, and we're not conspiracy theorists, are
No, no.
we? Not at all. All right. Well, let's see here. What else you want to add, dear?
Uh,
Let me go through comments very quickly.
yeah, let's go through comments because I think I mentioned all the bullet points.
Okay, that's good.
Again, y'all can do your own research about the details of all these cases that we used as examples.
Tom Hollaby goes like, "What were the books? Who wrote them? And what was his religious alignment?" What books you talking about, Tom? I'm not sure.
Oh, I haven't showed off my shirt yet.
Oh yeah. So Megan is wearing this shirt. Move towards the camera. You dirty, dirty smear merchants.
Wait, let's see who knows where this came from. I want
Oh
to see
yeah.
if anybody knows where this quote came from. Who is this from?
Whoever answers first correctly, who said that phrase, gets a prize. What the prize is, don't ask. Just be happy you're getting something free.
While people are. Oh,
Tom Hollaby's, I know what he's trying to draw me into the whole Semitism, anti-Semitism conversation.
we
He
need to
goes,
do that.
who wrote the books that were burned in Germany and all that stuff? We both know the answer to that, Mr. Hollaby. I know what you're doing. You're not being very much Musashi-like, okay? You're being very overt in the way you're trying to provoke me into this. So anyway, nobody knows who said this phrase, you dirty, dirty smear merchants, or you just all got upset because you had to look at my wife's chest.
There we go.
Tom Hollaby, Sargon of Akkad, he is correct and he wins the prize. What kind of prize we should give Tom Hollaby?
Push-ups.
Push-ups? Yeah. You got yourself 50 push-ups. Cool.
Yeah, so I thought this shirt would be fitting because, we're not just, and this is in reference, you guys should look up the video if you haven't seen it yet. The media is giving Sargon of Akkad a terrible time. And he calls the media out for what they are. They're dirty, dirty smear merchants. And I think this phrase is actually relevant to feminists in the Me Too movement because if you really look at it, that is what they end up being.
Look at this comment from Carissa. That's a good one. We talked about the vanity of women and the weak men they attract, but have you noticed the women who reject vanity or attractiveness altogether and try to become as repulsive as possible as a stance against men? Yeah, that's the
That's
women
the other
that
end of
you
the feminist
that's the
movement too.
women
Yeah.
that you will see smearing their own monthly blood on their faces and you know displaying the armpit hair and saying that BO is to be celebrated and I haven't showered in 7 days and can you smell me now? All of that stuff. Yeah, there is that. By the way, Carissa, as you know, there is the same thing going on with men that reject, the women power and the feminism and all that stuff, and they're trying to be like almost repulsive to women. This is the true manliness and all that stuff. You know what? It's as weak as the feminism. Is as weak as the opposite that they try to say that they are against. This is just different way to explain that you are weak ass, whether a man or a woman. You're a weakling. You're a weasel.
Yeah, I have a couple theories of how women end up. They end up on one of, they either end up like these women actresses that we're talking about in feminism, or they end up like this, trying to purposely be repulsive.
Yeah.
And okay, there's probably two camps here. There are women that don't think that they know they're not as attractive as other women, so they can't even try. So they try to go full on victim route. I feel like that's kind of like they're just going to dedicate to being victim and repulsive because they're angry they can't be as attractive as other women. But that were previously attractive, and then they shave their heads after 2 years at a liberal arts, and they have like weird piercings, like unattractive
Tattoos.
piercings, weird stuff. Yeah, no, like I because I was 20 for a couple
Hey guys, let me know if we are back connected and if sound is good, acceptable, or whatnot. Because we have quite a bit of weather happening around us, not here. Okay, are we back now? Guys, all acceptable. All right, so
It says it's lost again.
uh, sorry guys, our connect. We do have a lot of weather happening around, so that could be part of it. We're actually going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes, but Megan will try to finish up the thought that she was going on.
It's cliche to say, but mental illness, I honestly think we're our environment is just so toxic. But I don't have any other way to say it. Like, I think the brain is just mess. Like,
It's not even
well,
mental
like
disease.
the chemical, like, just like, yeah, this is a whole separate topic about health and like what we're eating, all the estrogen mimickers, hormone disruptors that we have. So when you're being fed propaganda and you're being chemically altered with, I think that's the result. That's my like, why did
because our connection is going in and out, and plus we've been here for an hour and a half. I'm okay spending an hour and a half with her, but with most of you, that's kind of pushing it, man. I'm telling you, that's kind of pushing it. All right, everybody. I think we will wrap it up on this note. Uh, First of all, thank you very much for sliding here into my office. And we needed to turn off the air conditioner because it makes a lot of noise. So the sacrifices we made, the kind of victims that we are, just to bring you our incomparable wisdom and value of our opinions while sweating my balls off, and I still have them. They have not been cut off. All right, I'll cut it right here. I'll cut it right here. I'm not going to tell you what just has happened because feminists would literally, half of them would have heart attacks, which actually would be a service to the humanity. Can we be banned for what I'm saying now? Probably.
probably
Let's cut it.
a nice note.
Thanks, everybody. Sitting here next to me. He will be from, I believe, Toronto, Canada. And that guy, his name is Polo Rubio, the guy behind the franchise of Funker Tactical and many other things, the guy behind the camera that made many, many people famous. And he teaches right now. We're probably going to touch upon some controversial topics, nothing about lesbians, rape, uh, you know, and Harvey Weinstein's. It's going to be more martial as far as the topics go. So don't miss it. Not this coming Tuesday, but Tuesday after. With that being said, Sunny Puzikas and Megan Puzikas live from Fort Honey Badger. We appreciate you being here.
See y'all.